Hello, everyone. Welcome to That Millwall Podcast. Hope you're doing well. Today, joining me, Omer, I have Mr. Kai Bennett. Hello, pal. You all right?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, mate. How are you?
Not too bad. Coming to a close of the international break, so to speak. We were just speaking off air there, weren't we, about the England game yesterday against Hungary. It wasn't great, was it? A 1-1 draw. I mean, you asked me if I actually went to it. I had to sit through it, and I did. Albeit I left 15 minutes before the end just to kind of, beat the rush, so to speak. It wasn't anything to get up for. And I'm glad I did in the end. So it sounds like, it just went from bad to worse towards the end. And I think it was when Grealish gets subbed off for Henderson, and you think to yourself, like, it's just England's just sometimes, even though despite the general consensus is good, they know how to dampen the mood sometimes, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that substitute Grealish, taking Grealish off was crazy. Well, on the telly, it sounded like they were going to do Foden, take Foden off. The commentator said Foden. I was disappointed about that. But then when they took Grealish off, I was like, he's the only player that actually looked. Him and Foden were the only ones that looked like they were ever create something for us. So taking him off was really silly in my opinion. But
definitely, mate. It's just England, isn't it? I think. But yeah. It was obviously it's good to go to Wembley. It still has that same kind of buzz around it, I think, after the Euros and stuff like that. But we'll leave the England talk anyway. We're here obviously to talk about Millwall. We'll have two parts of the show today. Part one will be about Saturday's game coming up against Luton Town. And part two, we're just going to talk a bit about the players out on loan from the club and just kind of give a general consensus about them as well. So we'll be back into part one shortly. And welcome to part one of the show. As mentioned, we'll be talking about Saturday's game ahead of hopefully, mate, 8 games unbeaten, 3 wins back-to-back against Luton Town. I mean, tough, tricky side, obviously. But, it's going to be hopefully a kind of continuation from the last set of international break games to continue into the next few before, obviously, the November international break. Time to string some form together, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be great if we could make it 3 wins on the spin. That'll really turn it could even put us into I think we can't quite go into the playoffs, can we, with a win? I think the goal difference is a bit too much to overcome. But, it definitely puts us up there, puts us into the top 10 if we win the game against Luton. And Luton are quite decent. They've been quite decent over the last couple of weeks, didn't they? They beat Coventry, was it 5-0? So it just shows their attacking qualities, and and it's going to be a tough game, but it's one of them ones. If we win, the general mood really, really does lift, and because after 2 really good games before the international break, that really lifted the spirits of the club and of the players and everyone around the club, and that was fantastic for the club to go into the international break on 2 wins, and it'd be fantastic if we can return after the international break with 3 points.
You're bang on, mate. I mean, they're sitting in 13th place, Luton Town. Their form's a bit hit and miss. That not to warn people, but between us in 22 games this season, we've got 11 draws combined. I'm not thinking it's going to be a draw Saturday, albeit would I take it? Maybe. But, they're a tricky customer, Luton Town. They've got 3 wins, 5 draws, 3 defeats, 18 goals scored, and 16 conceded in 11 games, as opposed to us, obviously, with 3 wins, 6 draws, 2 defeats, with 11-4 and 11 against. I think, if I'm looking at a Luton team there, I think it's entertainment factor seems to be a thing there. It's Nathan Jones, isn't it, Kai? The guy that went, he was obviously their manager in League One, almost basically got him promoted, left them, jumped ship, went to Stoke City. Didn't work out there for him, but he's got this unique kind of style of play he gets praised for a lot, doesn't he? But, it's obviously entertaining, mate. They've got some goals amongst their sides. It's going to be obviously a tricky game, but I think hopefully we should be at least entertained on Saturday, I feel like.
Yeah, definitely. And I think with the players we've got back as well, it could be a really good game in terms of our quality. We've got higher up the pitch with Ojo, Afobe and Jed, looking like they might have started to form a good partnership. I mean, I thought against Barnsley in the second half, we dominated Barnsley and we looked the better side, and 3 of them looked to start to gel. So hopefully they can continue and progress and hopefully really gel together, because I think once they do, we'll have a really, really exciting forward line there. But yeah, Luton, they're good at what they do. They did well last year. Nathan Jones transformed them into a really solid championship outfit. And obviously went to Stoke, which probably looked like a bad decision after all that, because I think Luton, he did very well with Luton, didn't he? The year before, a couple of years before that, and coming back to Luton, they were a little bit unsure about him, weren't they, when he first came back? But he's proved them wrong, and he's got their fans back on side. And if we can put in a good performance on Saturday and show the quality that we have, I've got no doubt we can get 3 points, but we just need to be defensively solid and a little bit more exciting going forward.
Definitely, mate. I think it's probably Luton's away form that's been a bit iffy. They've got a decent win away at Barnsley like we did. But aside from that, they've not won away this season. Obviously, their home form, I think, has been key to them. They've turned over the likes of, Peterborough at home quite comprehensively start the season. Like you said, Coventry as well. They've got a couple familiar faces in there that Millwall fans will be aware of. I mean, one in particular being Fred Onyedinma. I think he's injured at the moment. I'm not sure how long his length of injury is. I don't know if you know any more on that, Kai. I've kind of put you on the spot there whilst I try and find out. But, he's obviously started the season really well there at Luton Town, but maybe we're missing out on Saturday.
Well, if he's injured, that's really good news because, these players they always come back with a vengeance, don't they? And they always want to prove, show Millwall why it was wrong to let them go as such. I think we let him go, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I think the thing is, we did let him go. It was Neil Harris, wasn't it? He gave him this 3-year deal, and then it kind of broke down in the end. He went to Wickham, found some form, didn't he? And obviously picked up in the summer for a free transfer, I believe, from Luton Town. Yeah. If not, it might have been a small fee. But yeah, obviously they got relegated, went to Luton. I think it was the first game of the season where he got voted like EFL Player of the Day or something silly because he's got like 2 assists and a goal or something like that. So he obviously hit the ground running there. But I think he's obviously injured at the moment. Like I said, I'm trying to find out the severity of the injury. But also another player there is Alan Campbell, who also picked up another injury, started the season for them, but he seems to come back into the squad last couple of games. But obviously someone that was, kind of linked to Mill in the summer. We decided to go against it. And, we've got our midfield that we're happy with, but be interested to see how he does against us 3 players.
Yes, one of them ones that sort of like dragged on for quite a while, didn't it? We heard about it in January. We thought it might go for him, and then we sort of heard about it all, the rest of the season about whether we would go in at the end of the season and try and get him. I think he's quite a box-to-box midfielder. He's tough tackling, works hard. So he seems like a good player, but it'll be interesting to see what he is like and whether we did miss out on a player like that. On Saturday, it'll be interesting to see whether we should have got him for, but because when you go and watch these players, you can generally tell whether they would have fit into our style of play. And if he did, obviously we probably feel like we might have missed out. But our midfield's more than good enough. George Saville, Ryan Leonard, George Evans, Michael Kieftenbeld. I don't know if I'm missing anyone in there, but we've got more than a good enough midfield, and Billy Mitchell even. I mean, Billy, fantastic, what player, and so it'll be interesting to see what he's like. But he looks like a good player on paper, but be good to see what he is really like in the flesh on Saturday.
Reading, I'm not sure the results here of Football League World, but Onyedinma supposedly has a ligament damage injury related thing there. So I imagine he won't be available on Saturday, but he's been out for 6 or 7 games, so he could be available. You never know. I'm not sure the severity of it, but ligament injuries can vary, can't they, from quite minor to very severe. So hopefully it's not too long for Onyedinma, because I always did like him at Millwall. I don't think he was a fit here. There's multiple cases of players that don't fit here at Millwall and do well elsewhere, don't they, Kai? So let's focus on us anyway. I think we give quite a good update there on Luton. Other key players, actually, I wanted to just read out for Luton before we do move on. They've got a few players in their side, like I said, Alan Campbell, said Onyedinma there. I think their strike force up front, they've got Adebayo Ajayi, who's a striker on 5 goals a season. They've got players in there that score goals. Luke Berry from midfield seems to be a constant threat. I remember at Plymouth Town a few years ago, but he seems to score absolute worldies as well, doesn't he? I don't know if you've seen a few of his goals, Kai, but he's definitely one of those highlight type players, I think, to kind of grab the headlines, isn't he? Yeah,
definitely. And I think that's quite exciting from midfield. I mean, another one of their players, him and Harry Cornick. Cornick, I believe, is really, he's very good. I mean, he's got quick feet. And he always looks dangerous. I remember a couple of years ago, I think it was in lockdown. Leeds played against Luton, and Leeds basically they won. They get closer and closer to promotion. I think Harry Cornick equalised with about 10 minutes to go or something like that, or he scored first. And wow, it was a brilliant goal. And ever since then, he's really hit form and done really well. And last year he was a constant threat, and again on Saturday he'll be a constant threat. So we need to just sort of mind him, and we can block them. Their threat out. I believe I honestly think we've got more than enough to trouble them defensively. So yeah, I think if we keep a clean sheet, I think we'll win the game, because I think we'll score a couple of goals, and even if we only score 1 and we win 1-0, that'll do us 3 points, isn't it? So yeah, win's a win.
We'll get on to predictions in a little while, I think, as we edge out of part 1. But do you know what we're hoping for on Saturday for the first time this season? If I had to put you on the spot.
Are you saying to me?
What's Millwall hoping for this season for the first time? More specifically, Gary Rowett. What's Gary Rowett hoping for this season for the first time?
Is it a full squad for the first time?
It's a full injury-free squad. I mean, touch wood, it happens.
That could be hampered, couldn't it? Because have you seen about George Saville?
I have. I've seen. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what he's in. Do you know what his knock was? Or I'm not sure.
It said on News at Den it was just a flare up of a knee problem, or I think it was a knee. It was something to do with his knee. It was flared up a bit on international leave, on international duty, because he didn't play in Northern Ireland's game last night. So Daniel Ballard got through 82 minutes last night. I think he played all 90 the game before. So he looks like he's come through unscathed. But obviously George Saville was, well, on the positive news, he wasn't involved. So there's no chance he could have got injured last night. He's obviously either in training or in the game before that. But let's hope it's not too serious and he's back for Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, key players, obviously, to mention Scott Malone. Hopefully, I think he's suffering with soreness. Obviously, rested, but injured against Barnsley. But obviously, given a few days off after the international break as well. Obviously, Mason Bennett and hopefully Conor Mahoney back involved as well. And like you said, George Saville hopefully comes through, and then a injury-free squad available for Gary Rowett. I mean, a bit of a rarity, like I said, first time this season. And what are we into the 12th game of the season into November? But also, it'd be great to have that many options. It was talking pre-season, weren't we, Kai, before the first game of the season, thinking, cool, look at all these options. Maybe now Rowett's going to have them options to, change games, hopefully impact it, and try and make things that, from the sideline, so to speak, manage the game and, if necessary, change things up.
Yeah, I think it's real. It'll be really good to see the depth as well. Not just sometimes I don't always look at the start 11. I look about if I always look at the start 11 first, of course, but then I look at what we've got on the bench if it's not going quite right. And I think Saturday, if everyone's back, let's say Jed, Afobe, and Ojo start up top together. If it's not going right, we've got the likes of Mason Bennett, we've got Conor Mahoney to come on, we've got Matt Smith, Tom Bradshaw. There's 4 attacking options there who a couple of weeks ago with all the injuries we had, there was Matt Smith was the man to come on, or Tom Bradshaw, because we didn't have Mason Bennett, we didn't have Conor Mahoney, we didn't have Ojo, we didn't even have Afobe, So we were playing these Jed, Bradshaw and Smith. So it does show the depth in squad we've got now is really good, and I think it will. Not only will be great from the start of the games, I think we'll probably really be able to influence games later on in the game because of the substitutions we can now bring on.
Definitely. I mean, it's obviously, the manager said quite openly, judge me now, so to speak, with the squad available. I mean, he's probably, he's done well so far with 2 back-to-back wins, but, he's starting to say this is the team I want, basically, and making that clear to all the fans. But, I guess as well as it being a good thing, sometimes, in football, having that many players available, we know about our squad, we know about the team morale anyway. Maybe in our case, it won't be a problem, but, having players that don't play, not even make the match day squads at times, it can lead to problems, can't it, if it's a sustained thing? But I suppose for Rowett, he's buzzing to have the options available. It's kind of a catch-22, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's difficult because we've actually got quite not a large squad, but we've got a bigger squad of what we're used to over the last couple of years. Harris always believed in a small squad, didn't he? So Rowett's sort of grown that squad, and players who are missing out, they're players that are missing out now. And we look at the bench now, and it looks so much stronger. But only after the game do you realise, actually, hang on a second, he missed out because of them coming back, and it starts to show you there's players that are missing out now who are actually good players that could be on the bench. I'm not adding Bob Varson into that category, because Bob Varson being out of the squad is. There's this. I don't dislike Bob Varson, just don't think he's championship quality. So it's good we've got other options to be able to come on rather than Bod.
If Mickey was here, you'd say as long as he's here till Blackpool away in January. So Omer can do his bet. If you're a regular listener to our show, you know exactly what we're talking about there. But Mickey's not about today, so I said it for him regardless. There you go. But I agree with you, mate. I was interrupting you in your flow there. Was you another point you wanted to make at the end there, or? No,
that was it really. I was just thinking that the players that we have got out, and there's some players that are that will be unfortunate. Not really any fault of their own, just that will be out of the squad completely, and they don't deserve to be out of the squad. So and I think if Cooper comes back and does really well, then Murray Wallace will find himself out of the squad as well, which will be really unfair, really harsh on him. Because of the quality he's shown in the last couple of weeks, the reliability, the versatility he's shown, he's been fantastic. So it's about weighing up them sort of options, and it's difficult for Rowett to get the balance right, but let's hope he can do that.
I mean, the good thing we saw obviously before Barnsley away in particular, obviously with players coming back from injury, the Friday before we played obviously the 23s game. I can't remember who it was against at the time. Speaking now, but obviously Bodvarsson played, Thompson played. We're offering chances instead of them to travel up and just make up numbers of the travelling squads. They played on the Friday, and I guess for them, if they know they're not going to play on the Saturday, they're probably buzzing not to travel up Barnsley anyway, and just not sit in the stands instead they're at home and whatever, get a free weekend off. But it's good that then we can offer them to the 23s without impacting too many of their developments to obviously not play. But, it's good to obviously players play, keep the minutes in them, hopefully some match fitness. But also, it also then offers, for the 23 side to get a bit better as well, I suppose, with that kind of players playing at their level.
Yeah, and I think players it gives the players valuable minutes, because I think, if any of them players like Thompson or, Bovarsson are to go out in January, whether that's a loan deal, whether that's permanent deal, whether they're to leave the club, and any player that leaves the club, it's good minutes for them to be able to get match fit, get themselves ready. I'd be it's difficult on with Thompson, isn't it? Because I'd be really disappointed to see him leave because of the way he's Millwall through and through, and he grew up supporting Millwall, so it'd be a hard one to see him leave. And I do think he offers us something in certain areas. So it'd be hard to see him leave if he was to leave in January. But it gives him vital minutes at least. If there is a couple of injuries and he needs to come into the squad, then therefore he's match fit and he's ready to go. And and Rowett can use him. Rowett can use him. Whereas it would be worse if he had no minutes under his belt and he had to come in all of a sudden, and therefore he was not match fit. And so I think the 23s does benefit the players like that in quite a few areas.
Everything sounds hunky-dory, doesn't it? I think being Millwall, I just know what happens. You're all hunky-dory, everything's rosy in the world, you're walking along, living the dream, got it's extra spring in your step when you go to the den on Saturday, and it almost sometimes, the inevitable comes back at you, doesn't it? We're going to be positive because we're both positive all the time anyway, but it's a luminous thing, isn't it? When you're Millwall, you just kind of expect the unexpected sometimes, isn't it? It's sometimes it's good to be grounded, but it's going to be obviously. I just think Saturday's going to be a big game. I think if we win it, I do think it's going to springboard us into a big week ahead. Luton, obviously Saturday, like I said, Sheffield United away. It's set up to be a good week, hopefully. And if we start off well on Saturday, I think it'll be key for us. You mentioned though, obviously Murray Wallace and Cooper. Cooper played last game. The selection headache you've got there. If Scott Malone comes back into the sides, I guess we're going to try and predict the 11 now. But it's quite difficult to predict, isn't it? It's going to be. Do you change a winning team back-to-back wins? But, Murray Wallace playing left wing back, I don't think I want to take Murray Wallace out of left wing back because I saw his performance against Barnsley, albeit maybe the opposition on Saturday will be a bit more difficult encounter because Barnsley were out of shape. It's a difficult team to predict, I feel like, for Rowett on Saturday.
No, I agree. I think, it's such a hard one. Do you drop Murray and, because it's not even you can't even say let's give him a rest because he's had a 2-week break, hasn't he? So it's not
I don't
even.
think you drop Murray. We're ruling that out. The problem is do you go Cooper left centre half?
Yeah.
And then have Murray Wallace left wing back, or do you have Murray Wallace left centre half, and then Scott Malone back left wing back? We're going to start there. Come on, tell me, what's the left wing back and left centre half going to be on Saturday?
So if Malone's fit, I'm going to go Malone at left wing back, and just because I think he's been so good recently, I don't think you can drop him. I think you have to go Murray Wallace at left wing back, left centre back, left centre half, and play Hutchinson and Ballard at the other two, and then obviously Danny McNamara right wing back. But it's harsh on Cooper, and I think he will come back into the squad eventually. But whether that's next game, next Saturday, next Tuesday, whatever, but whoever does play on Saturday, whether it's Cooper or Murray, the other one will be harsh to miss out, if that makes sense. So, but then again, it's fantastic to have these options, isn't it, for Rowett? I mean, Rowett's not used to having these options, and now he's going to have to pick one of them. I think at the start of the season, if you'd have asked Rowett who his back three were, he would have gone Cooper, Ballard, Hutchinson. But all of a sudden, Murray's, shown, Murray's always been brilliant for us, hasn't he? But, all of the last couple of games, 3-4 weeks maybe, he's been outstanding, probably one of our best performers. And, now Rowett's thinking, wow, I don't know who to go for now. Do you go for the height of Cooper, and have a little bit more threat, if they go long ball. But then Murray, the other argument was normally if you go Cooper, you have more chance of scoring goals from corners. But Murray Wallace showed that he can do exactly that. So it's so hard. I mean, it's whoever you choose, there's the other person's going to feel hard done by. So, it's up to Rowett, whatever he chooses. It's not. I'm not really too fussed because I think we've got two quality centre backs there. But whoever he does pick, the other one's going to feel hard done by.
That's it. I was highlighting what I said earlier about trying to get the squad happy. Yeah. It's a tough task, but I agree with you. I think it'll be, Luton our team also play a 5 at the back formation. I feel like half the division plays 5 at the back now. I don't know if that's a trend that's happened since the Euros or whatever. But obviously, Rowett went this a couple of years ago when he first came into the job, and we saw glimpses of it a couple of seasons ago. But yeah, a lot of teams play this 5-back system, 2 central midfielders, 3 attacking players. And it's just about how you execute it. I do think I fancy us to be, Luton being a bit more of a footballing side of field and not necessarily a up and at 'em team. It could come back to bite me saying that, because I don't see a lot of Luton, but obviously I've seen a few of their goals. They do like to play through the lines as well. So I do think it will suit having a Scott Malone in there, just maybe if we, can pick up on a counter-attack, having that kind of outlet on the left-hand side. So I'd like to see Scott Malone in there as well. I agree with you. Murray Wallace left centre-half. Cooper missing out, who I didn't think was terrible at Barnsley. He somehow got into Who Scored player ratings, team of the week for the Championship. He wasn't terrible in the slightest, but I think he is a bit out of sorts at the moment. And maybe, like I said, a sustained period out of the team won't be a bad thing for a player like that. And especially, kind of bounce back from that in the future can only be a good thing for the sides. I guess George Long in goal for us as well, yeah? Yeah, something serious face there. You've left to believe everything I said there. Bielkowski in goal, obviously. At this point to give him. 2 back-to-back clean sheets as well, Kai. I think the if you wanted to judge him based on before the first international break in September and after the international break in September, I think you see he's kind of got into gear, so to speak, and got his groove for the season. I think he's been solid, hasn't he? And 2 back-to-back clean sheets, been great.
Yeah, he's been fantastic, hasn't he? But he had a couple of doubts his first couple of games, didn't he? But ever since then, he's really picked up and shown his worth. But going back to the formation, I don't know. I'd actually be tempted to play a 4-2-3-1.
Yeah, mix it up. I was just thinking that when I was looking at it, because obviously I was looking, we'll see what formation they played last time out against Huddersfield, and all season they were playing the 5-3-2 or 5-2-1-2, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, I was just thinking that as well. Is it a possibility to go 4-4-2 even and just stick Smith and Afobe up front? Do you know what I mean? But I suppose when you've won back-to-back games and you've got 2 clean sheets, there's a formula there to keep, isn't it? So I don't expect them to change it. Although if the game's in the balance and there's half hour to go, it wouldn't surprise me to see him go 4-4-2. I can't believe I've just said that, but it wouldn't surprise me.
You know what? I'd actually go. I know you said about Smith and Afobe, but if you're going to if you want to make it really exciting, what you could do is you go 4-2-3-1, play Bart in goal, Matt Namara. This is harsh because then you have to drop Cooper and Murray Wallace. That's really harsh. Or you could play Cooper and Hutchinson, whatever. Hutchinson, Ballard, Malone, or you could play whoever you want to play in that back 4.
Yeah, just don't put your hand in the hat, and then as long as it doesn't pick out Alex Pierce, it's fine.
I think the only guaranteed players are probably Danny McNamara and Scott Malone, and probably Hutchinson. Whoever you want to play on the left side, that's absolutely fine. I'd go George Saville if he's fit, and either Keefton Bell, Leonard, Evans. That again, that take your pick with that one as well. And then if you want to go really attacking, I'd go Jed, Ojo, Bennett in behind Afobe.
Nice.
I think that is a serious front 4, in behind. I think that's wow.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's definitely if you want to go try and play balls in behind and just cause havoc on the wings. I think that definitely would be interesting to see. We'll keep to realism and expect Garrett to keep the 5 back anyway. But yeah, like you said, McNamara you mentioned in there, obviously come back into the sides. I agree with you, mate. The last 2 games he's been great as well. Back-to-back wins, always good to see. I think we've only won games when McNamara's played, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, did he play against Blackpool at the start of the season? I'm not sure. Can't remember. I can't remember when he picked his injury up anyway. But yeah, I think McNamara's been solid at right wing back. Has to continue in there. Midfield 2, obviously last time out we had George Evans and Saville. We mentioned Saville's doubt. Obviously Evans played against Barnsley. Like you said, it's hard to predict, isn't it? But I wouldn't be surprised if I saw the same 2 in there maybe, or maybe Mitchell in there. I don't know. Mitchell was knocking on the door after last couple of games. Got on a lot and got some game time. Had an opportunity to score in both games. Mitchell, I feel I had both opportunities to score in both games. Yeah. But yeah, Leonard, he's not even, it's mad, isn't it? There's the options.
It's crazy. Yeah. We've got so many options. And there's no one in there that I would say I don't want to see start. There's not even anyone in there I'd say I prefer not to see start. Yeah. I don't mind who starts because they've all got quality in their own. They all offer something to the team. So, whoever he starts. So I'd say probably the only player that I'd probably try and cement in that side would be Saville. Just because I think Saville's got class. He uses class on and off the ball. But the other place is completely up for grabs because they all offer, plenty in their own way. So whoever he goes for, it's completely up to him.
It's Saville's reading the game for me. I think it's just he's always had that know-how of kind of falling to the ground before a tackle comes in to win a midfield foul or whatever. That's always useful to have. But also just he has the ability to pick up the ball in the right places, but also be on the edge of the box all the time. And I think we're starting to see more of that George Saville from his second or third spell. I think he's had 4 spells at this point at Mill, but the spell I'm talking about when he scored 10 goals, obviously under Neil Harris. So I think we're starting to see the best of that. I'm going to put my neck out there and predict my midfield 2 of Saville and Mitchell. There you go.
Like that.
What do you reckon? What would you go for?
Do you know what? I was thinking the same, but I'll mix it up and I go Saville and Leonard.
Okay, well,
Leonard deserves to start after his
Yeah.
fantastic performances at right wing back. So
if you're listening or watching me and Kai on YouTube or on audio, let us know who you think will be in the midfield too. And in fact, give us your start 11 as well. But forward three, I don't see it changing. I could be wrong, but I think it'll probably be the same as last time out. Ojo, Afobe, and Jed Wallace. Agree, Kai?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I think you've got the pace, you've got the quality in the front three. So yeah, no complaints from me.
What was interesting, obviously, from the Barnsley game, and I didn't really get a chance to talk about it in the last show. Afobe was quite disappointed to be taken off about 20-minute mark to go. Smith comes on, instantly gets a header on goal, and maybe could have scored straight from that. It highlights instantly what impact Smith has on the games. But like I said always, I think to have that impact 20 minutes to go, it almost guarantees you an opportunity to score in a goal from a set piece. So I still don't think it justifies starting him, but you can't knock the impact Smith has on this team whenever he's there. Even like in the set play for Murray Wallace's goal, like when you're the central defender when you're the defending team picking up a player at set pieces, if you go man for man or if you go zonal, you're aware constantly of the biggest man on the pitch.
Yeah.
Smith's in your mind straight away, and then that then gives the opportunity for like Murray Wallace to come steaming in and score a header. I think the impact he has it's not underrated by Millwall fans. We all appreciate what he does. But I think its true value doesn't get appreciated enough, especially the kind of the habit he can cause being in there. But at the same time, I think what route was to go for is a more mobile front three, isn't it? Interchanging, try to counter attack, play through the lines. So I think I can see it being the same three and Smith coming on with half hour to go if we need him, I suppose, isn't it, Guy?
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I think the only thing that Rowett might think is that Luton have got a bit of a struggle with these set pieces and balls into the box. I mean, they did, remember when we played them on New Year's Day, that Smith calls them have a cool afternoon, didn't he? I think we won 3-1 that game, so that puts into the playoffs. But Luton have never really been able to stop that, that problem of theirs of conceding set pieces, struggling in the air. I just wonder whether Rowett might think, well, maybe even go 4-4-2, as you said, and play Smith up top. But no, if he is to play three with Jed, Afobe and Ojo, there's more than enough quality there to break Luton down. And I think that is, once they start to gel, I think that potentially could be one of the, if I'm going to say go bold here, that is one of the best front threes in the division, in my opinion, if they're all on song. So
I love what he's having, but no, I agree with you. To be fair, it is a good front three. I mean, I do agree with you there, mate. Or you could go full European and let's think the next 3 games in advance here. You got Luton Saturday, Sheffield United Tuesday, Stoke Saturday. Got a full squad to choose from. Maybe you pick your 11s in your mind for the 3 games ahead. I personally go game to game, pick your best 11 that you think is going to win the game. But it wouldn't surprise me if he thinks I'll take Afobe out with the idea that I want to be against Sheffield United, a bit more counter attack inside. You never know, but. I think for me personally, the must win this week with you look at Luton at home, Sheffield United away, Stoke at home. I think you just got to win Luton. Just get that win on the board, just to not even to ease the critics, because at this point, back-to-back wins, but also you're on a high. Don't think about the games ahead. Just play game to game.
Yeah.
Next game. And I know it can be difficult at times, but you never know. You might change it up. But I think personally, you just got to focus on this game on Saturday and just try basically get that win to keep us going, I think.
Yeah, and there's potential here that, we've got Luton Saturday, Sheffield United Tuesday, and Stoke on Saturday. Next Saturday. Stoke are a really good side. They're dangerous with their quality they possess. Sheffield United are a good side, but we seem to do quite well at Bramall Lane, don't we? So that'll be a tough game, but winnable or potential get points out of. So if we can get a point, if we can beat Luton, and let's say get a point against Sheffield United. So that's 4 points out of 6. Even though I think we probably could go there and win if we're we play as well as we can. Mm-hmm. And then if we get 4 points out of 6, then go Sheffield. If we beat, and then going into Stoke, we beat Stoke. All of a sudden, we've got 7 points out of 9. We're probably sitting comfortably in the playoffs. And and then all of a sudden everything's even better than it is now. So I know that's not very optimistic.
Your optimism is contagious. I'll tell you that much. If people don't listen to this show and not think I'm going to smack a bet on Millwall to win the league at this point, I don't know what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like you're very optimistic at all times, mate. And I salute it. To be fair, I'm probably like 3/4 of the way there. Like you're always there, but I'm like just a little bit behind you. I'm quite optimistic all the time as well, but. It's just the magic of what back-to-back wins does, isn't it, Kai? Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of feeling. But like I say, I'm always feet on the ground here. It's Millwall. I've got
Yeah,
that
no,
3-1
it's
step
true.
down to then Saturday.
Yeah.
But we'll have to wait and see, mate. And I do like your optimism always. So, okay, what's the score going to be on Saturday, mate? 10 part 1.
So I don't want to sound too optimistic here now. So I'm going
4-0
to go.
Millwall.
Did you say 4-0?
No, I'm saying you're going to come out with that now, yeah?
No. I go. What I'm going to say is we're going to edge it. We're going to win 2-1.
Yep.
And I'm going to go for Phoebe and Jed.
Law of averages says if we keep back-to-back clean sheets, we probably won't keep another clean sheet. So I like it. And also knowing that Luton score a lot of goals and concede a lot of goals, 2-1 is a good shout. And it's also the shout I would have gone for. But just to be different, I'll go 3-1. Repeat that New Year's Day win when Bradshaw and Mahoney and Smith scored. So there you go. Imagine it's the same 3 scorers. I wonder what the odds is on that because I don't see all 3 being on the pitch at the same time or at any point. But I'll go 3-1. There you go. I'll give you goal scorers as well. I'll say George Saville.
Yep.
Jed Wallace.
Yep.
And Matt Smith.
Like it.
There you go. Guys, if you're listening or if you're watching, score predictions below. Leave us your start 11 as well. We're going to end up part 1 here and come back with part 2 with a little loan update on the players out on loan for Millwall. So back shortly. Okay, welcome to part number 2 of the show. As mentioned, this is the part where myself and Kai are probably going to spend about 10 minutes talking about our Lions on loan. Obviously, mate, we've got a few players out on loan, hotly anticipated ones, some that, we thought maybe could have stuck around the first team squad, got some minutes. We look at the squad now anyway, and we probably think it's for the best that all these players are out on loan. In reality, when you've got everyone available, they probably don't get a look in at all. But I want to start with the one that stuck out most to me, or maybe actually we'll say both who we think stuck out most on their loan spells. I'm going to go first and probably steal the limelight from you here, but Alex Mitchell at Leyton Orient just amazed me so far. I don't know if that's going to be your standout one or...
Yeah,
So we will start on Alex Mitchell then. Obviously, he's gone to Leyton Orient, like I said there. He's obviously been in the sides, I think, since basically arriving there. He was obviously involved at Millwall, played that one game at Cambridge United at home for 11 minutes, went to Leyton Orient and was never present in their side for about 5 or 6 games. I don't think he's actually lost a game. There you go. There's a stat for you. Leyton Orient haven't lost a game when Alex Mitchell's in the side here, according to Flash Scores. He's played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 90-minute games. He's missed 2 in between there. And that was their only defeat away at Port Vale when they lost 3-2. He wasn't in the squad. And also away at Crawley Town in the Cup, they won 4-0, but he didn't play that either. But there you go. Alex Mitchell hasn't lost a game when he's playing for Leyton Orient this season, mate.
It's quite impressive, isn't it? It's quite a stat.
Yeah.
He's brilliant. He's when he played that game for Millwall and came on, he was just you could see he's just such a good up and coming player, and I think he really will. I think he'll make it into the Millwall side. I think maybe whether it's whether we recall him at some point this year or whether we play him next year. I think it'll probably be next year now, won't it, with Ballard being in there. But I think he's got a real bright future ahead of him. I saw a tweet from Leyton Orient the other day. I don't know whether you saw it. It said something like at Millwall FC, can we keep him? It was quite funny, and it was a gif of him sort of like celebrating with the Leyton Orient fans.
Yep.
Yeah,
they give him a nickname. I can't remember. I know with Millwall players call him like Meathead and stuff like that. But maybe that's what Leyton Orient call him. I'm sure I've seen on social media they give him like a little tag like that or something. But he's an absolute unit, like we said. Yeah, but they've also kept 3 clean sheets in the 6 games he's played. Only 18 years old, Kai. It's unbelievable, I think, isn't it? Like he's just an absolute brute of a centre half at 18 years of age, but also just shows that kind of he's playing league football and clearly not losing a game in a Leyton Orient side. He's obviously showing he can step up to any level he's playing at the minute. Yeah,
and I think he did really well at Bromley last year. It's one thing to do it in a non-league side, and that's no disrespect to Bromley, but Bromley did really well, and he was really a real big. He was part of the main spine of that success last year. Bromley they got to semi-finals, I think, or the eliminator of the playoffs. And he's gone to Leyton Orient this year, and he's moved up a division and just shown what he can do again. And I think it's a difficult one. Maybe in January, do you recall him and send him to a League One club and see what you can do there, and then maybe next year with the view to playing him next year. But you don't want to sort of hamper, you don't want to sort of cause any problems and ruin his development, because if he's doing really well at Leyton Orient, you might want to keep him there. But But, it'd be good to see what he can do at a League One club before maybe giving him a go in Millwall. But obviously, if he continues to do as well as he does and he stays there for the rest of the season, I think, he definitely deserves a shot next year.
Absolutely, mate. And I agree with you. I really look forward to seeing him come back to Millwall. I agree with you. Maybe League One could be an option in the future. But I think at the same time, under the tuition of Kenny Jackett at Leyton Orient, ex-Millwall manager, what you get from the Kenny Jackett side as well. I think it's kind of a good little fit for him there at Leyton Orient as well, and nice and local. He only lost 2 games in 9 at Bromley as well, so he doesn't taste defeat a lot. There you go. It's a good little niche he's got there. I think we'll have to wait and see. I think we'll move on now anyway to another central defender, one that probably a lot of people thought would hit the ground running in Scotland. Although it did take McNamara a couple of games to get in at St Johnstone last season. It's Hayden Muller this time. Obviously, he went to St Johnstone. Callum Davidson's up there. We all know about the relationship he's got there. He's been a bit hit and miss, Kai. He's not played a lot of games. He's kind of been in and out. I think he's just maybe trying to get him to play at the right opportunity, I think, maybe at the moment. But he's obviously, he looks like he's played against Rangers at home. They only lost 2-1. I think he got an assist in that game. It's maybe just still finding his feet by the looks of it at St Johnstone for Hayden Muller.
Yeah, and I think it also depends where you play him as well, because he can. I think he's mainly a right back, isn't he? I think, or he's a centre back, and he can play. I think he can play. I've heard that he can play centre back, centre mid, and right back. I think he can play all three. So it's getting sort of working out which one is his preferred position, best position. And even though it hasn't maybe gone as well as he would have liked to so far, there's still plenty of time to turn it around. We know what sort of bright future he has ahead of him, because he was fantastic when he came on. When he's come on for us in the past, last season, he was. I think he came on a couple of times, didn't he? Last season, He was really good. So I think it's difficult. We'll see what he can do second half of the season or rest until January. But I think he'll prove he'll turn this around and get back to the form that everyone knows he can get to.
6 league appearances in the Scottish Premier League. It's still a great experience for him. And, like I said, the season's still young. A lot of time still to go. Maybe not, he's obviously not trusted yet to play in the European games. He obviously played. They had a few at the start of the season and he didn't get a look in there. But I think his time will come, and hopefully Cam Davison has a lot of faith in him that he can step in soon and, kind of cement a place to the side. I think he's been playing central defence by flicking through some of the games they've played. He played central defence against Rangers. He also played right side centre half against Hibernian. So yeah, he's clearly obviously involved. Picks up 2 bookings though, so true Millwall style there in the 6 games he's played. But yeah, obviously one to watch out for Hayden Muller. I'm sure hopefully we'll see a bit more of him as the running goes to Christmas Eve and get a bit more game time there. We've spoken about Tyler Bury in a few shows. Obviously done well, hasn't he, at Hartlepool, then got injured. Excuse me. I saw an article during the week that he's hopefully going to be back involved before the end of the year. Maybe late November, I'll be back at Hartlepool and back scoring goals, hopefully. But mate, he also went on that little hot streak, didn't he, at the start of the season? 3 goals in 3 in 5 overall since he arrived in League Two. I'm really surprised, to be honest. I'm not going to say I underrated Tyler Bury, but maybe he's found his level in that sense. But when I've seen him play, he's just been a bit rough around the edges. But to go to League Two, score 3 and 3, and that was a quick impact there. It just, highlights obviously what he's about, isn't it? And fair play to him.
Yeah, and he scored a right cracker, didn't he? I think it's game or something. It was a brilliant goal. There obviously is quality there, and there's he's quick, isn't he? He's electric quick. I think he's rapid. Remember when he played for us a couple of times last year? He really does have pace. It's just about sort of fine tuning his end product, I guess. And he looks like he had that. And unfortunately for him, he suffered. I think it was a grade 2, wasn't it? Grade 2 or grade 3? I think it was hamstring. One of them. So let's hope he can get back in November, gets back scoring goals, providing assists, and I think it'll be a massive boost for Hartlepool. And it'll be good to see how he can do for the rest of the season. Yeah,
I think their manager, I think his name escapes me right now, but I know he's always been like kind of big up on Tyler Bury since he arrived there, and I think it's Dave Challinor. I've just googled him there, Dave Challinor. But I think he was gutted to lose Bury at the time, and obviously he's had a big impact there, and he's hoping obviously he can come back soon. And yeah, like you said, it was a hamstring injury, so obviously it's an iffy one, isn't it? But I think he's come back to Millwall, done his kind of rehab here, so to speak, and hopefully he can get back into match speed soon and arrive back in League Two. Who do you want to go for next? You've got 3 to choose from. 2 defenders, 1 attacker. You know who the attacker is.
Let's go for Olaf.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Tanto Lafe, obviously 3 games in so far at Sutton United. Obviously, he had that injury in pre-season. The first day of pre-season in Scotland as well. Picked up an injury. Couldn't even be involved in any of the pre-season games, which I know I was gutted about. I'd love to have seen him get a game just to see what he's like, really, because I've not seen him play. I couldn't tell you what he's about, really. I've seen the goals and what highlights of him, so I can tell you that. But just to see him in match action, so to speak, in person. But he's gone back to Sutton United, got the loan spell that we kind of all thought would probably happen. And I think it's probably like, especially having that injury in pre-season, go to a happy place, somewhere he knows where he's quite valued and respected. And he's gone back into the team, well, a couple of sub-appearances, but also started the other night against Portsmouth in the Papa John's Cup, or whatever you want to call it, the two Bob Cup, and scored a goal there, didn't he? So, he's obviously, I think, keen to make an impression there again.
Yeah, it's great to see him score, get back to that feeling of scoring goals. He did really well at Sutton last year. It'd be great to see him, do really well this year, and hopefully, I think as you said, I think all Millwall fans want to see him in the side, see what he can do. Because I know myself, I really want to see him in a Millwall shirt very soon and see exactly what he's about. Because again, at Sutton, he looked a really good player, and he had some really, he's quick. He's got really good feet. He knows where the back of the net is. So yeah, I'd love to see him in a Millwall shirt sooner rather than later. So yeah, this experience of Sutton this year in League Two will be great, especially as Sutton are now, I think, in the playoffs, aren't they? So yeah,
flying. Yeah, I think that is kind of feel good. They had a tough start to the season, but they quickly picked that up, and I think they've won 7 of their last 8 in the league, or 6 of their last 7. So outrageous, really, stat for them. And I think, last season got 16 and 39 in all competitions. This year's already notched 1. Did you see the clip of him against Port Vale where he was played through on goal and the referee put the flag up for offside? Did you see that doing around?
No, I haven't seen that.
It was brilliant because it wasn't even the flag for offside. Sorry, the lino didn't give offside, but it was the last kick of the half, and they've played of the game. He's played the ball through. And he's called full time there, and the referee's blown the whistle, and he's fuming at the referee. I'd recommend everyone's going to check it because it's quite funny. He's clearly through on goal. The defenders ain't going to catch him for anything, and then the referee blows full time in the game, and he's fuming. But I think it was on his social medias, or I saw it someone tweet it online anyway. So good watch. I would recommend anyone going to check that out because it's quite funny. But we'll move on from Tanto, and we've got Dan Moss next. I'm going to go for. Dan Moss is on loan at Yeovil Town. A right-sided kind of player, and he's centre half / right back, and obviously playing National League, 9 games in, a bit hit and miss with the form at Yeovil at the moment, but consistently playing, and obviously valuable experience from there.
Yeah, and he can play in midfield. I've watched a couple of under-23s matches, and he's a real warrior. I think when I watched him, he has been the 23s captain, and he shows a real. He works ever so hard. He puts his foot into challenges. He's a really, really good player. And he's not scared to. He doesn't pull out a tackle. He's always in the thick of it. And he can play centre midfield if he needs to. Just defensive midfield, sort of like ball playing. He's got a nice pass in him. So yeah, I hope he can hope to do well at Yeovil Town, because that looks like a really good platform for him to develop at.
We're reaping the rewards, ain't we? I think of having an academy that is quite successful in the last couple of years. Yeah. I think whilst we're not reaping the rewards, it's great to see having players at League One, League Two, Scottish Premier League, National League. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's players here, there, and everywhere popping up, playing consistent games as well. And the skill gap from Championship to League One, League Two, it's there to be seen, and a lot of teams struggle when they come up to the Championship. But the fact that we've got our youngsters playing in these divisions, applying their trade, but also scoring goals and competing at that level, it's great to see, because I'm thinking back to 10, 15 years ago now, where you've got the odd player come through. I'm thinking, O'Brien came through and, had a loan spell at Torquay United or something silly, scores a couple of goals. We've not really had many players go out on loan. And when we have done, it's not been, they don't really grab the headlines, so to speak. But then you think now, obviously last season, McNamara, you've got players here, there, and everywhere applying the try, but also just succeeding as well. And it's refreshing to see.
Yeah, no, it is. And I think it gives us a really good base at the bottom of the club, for players to come through. And players like Danny McNamara and Billy Mitchell have sort of given them sort of players hope that they can make it at Millwall, with how well they've done when they cut. Well, Danny McNamara is a first team first team player. He's not even a squad player, is he? That he plays every game. And Billy Mitchell shows real good potential every time he does play. And I think he probably deserves to play a bit more because of the quality he has shown when he played at right wing back, which isn't his position. He made it his own. I thought it was fantastic. So it gives the younger players and players coming through a little bit more hope that they can make it one day, and players like the players on loan will have that chance. And there's even players that have, obviously Abdul Malik, who just signed a new deal. There's quite a lot of excitement around him, isn't there? And hopefully, we'll be able to give him a chance at some point this year to show his worth. But yeah, these players coming through, I've got hope now because of the players that have made it.
Definitely. I mean, like I said, I'm thinking back to the past, and having them exciting kind of prospects come through and do it at league football as well. It's just different to having Killian Hughes-Mason come on as a sub and play a game, or John Marquis back then. It's this different feel about things, and these players feel like when they get in the team, they're going to be here to stick around. And for Millwall, we love one of our own. Do you know what I mean? And I think they're not only are they one of our own, but they're quite a skillful bunch of players there. So exciting things to come, and hopefully we do see that in the next couple of years where, who knows, we could get 5 or 6 homegrown Millwall players in the starting 11 in the league game even, which would be great to see. So, we'll definitely have to talk about it more in the future, I think. We're going to round up with a bit of if people are wondering who the last one is, I might have missed a player, by the way, and if I have done, apologies. But I asked Kai before we done it, and I think we've got the players out on loan correct. But one player in particular we've left at the end is Marlon Romeo. I thought he's technically out on loan, Kai, so we might as well talk about him. He hasn't really had it hunky-dory at Portsmouth so far. I've just quickly looked through it. I think he's played 8 games there. They only won 1. Clean sheet and only one of them as well. I don't want to say it's all because of Marlon Romeo. I saw something saw a clip not too long ago, I think against Burton. He played a back pass and it was wayward and they scored from it. But it's interesting to see how he gets on at Portsmouth. They did get a good 4-0 win their last league out in against Sunderland at home. Obviously, Sunderland's done really well so far this season, so it's quite a shock result. But like we said, it's obviously, we know it came to an end obviously for Romeo at Millwall, but it's interesting to see how he gets on a League One, because I personally thought he could have been Championship above, really, you know what I mean, especially a couple of years ago.
Yeah, before I speak about Romeo, did you see the state of that pitch against Sunderland the other day?
Yeah.
It was absolutely atrocious. It was awful, wasn't it? I mean, wow, I don't know how players can play on that. But no, Romeo, it's good to see him getting games elsewhere and doing well. And he's not doing brilliant at Portsmouth, but it's good to see him getting game time.
He's played every game since he's been there, so he's definitely obviously in to stay, so to speak, under the Cowley brothers.
Well, I think Marlon Romeo as a League One player he'd be very good at League One level. I've got no doubt about that. I mean, there was one stage in the Championship where he looked like, God, Marlon looks fantastic here, and he could potentially even move up. He could potentially even have clubs looking at him in the Premiership at one point, because I thought he looked, maybe 2 years ago. Definitely. I think it was just before Rowett came in, or maybe just as Rowett came in. Marlon was sort of hit the peak, wasn't he, of his career of how he was doing at Millwall. And Marlon's a good player. He's got good quality, in certain areas. I mean, he needs to work on his end product a little bit more with his crossing and finishing. But in terms of his work rate and his defending, I think he's quite good at that. He's really quick. So yeah, I hope he does well at Pompey. It'll be interesting to see what happens with him, won't it? Because I think he's still got a couple of years left on his deal. So whether he maybe goes to Pompey permanently in the summer, or I don't know, we'll have to see.
I thought he had only less than a year left. Maybe I might be wrong. Maybe more.
Maybe he does. Maybe.
Yeah, who knows? Nowadays, you don't really know contract lengths. It's not really that savvy out there in the world, is it really? But yeah, it's obviously a shame. And I agree with you. Everything you said there, really. He did have a exciting time at Millwall at one stage, and was anticipated to really kind of kick on and be here for many years to come. It ended quite, how we all know, off the pitch and on the pitch, and with fans, relation was clearly lost there. But I think he is clearly obviously a player still with a lot of immense talent. 26 years old still, Kai. And he broke through at a young age. Obviously, he got knocked back by Arsenal many years ago. Was at Gillingham, was at Millwall as a 23s player. And he still fits in that category where if Millwall signed a 26-year-old player that got knocked back by a club, I'm sure Portsmouth think the same thing. We could turn him around, get the best out of him. And it wouldn't surprise me to see him come back into the Championship in the near future and kind of kick on and be a solid right back in this league. So yeah, one to watch out for, I'm sure, in the future, definitely, and could come back to haunt us one day.
Potentially, yeah. And I still remember his first. I think it was his league debut actually.
Walsall away.
So what a strike that was! Yeah.
3-0 away. I think Gregory got 2, Romeo got the 1. I nearly got Sid Nelson's shirt that day. That's why it sticks in the memory. It was he threw it in the crowd. I nearly got it. I loved Sid Nelson at the time. But obviously, one of our own. We all love one of our own. And I nearly grabbed it, and someone yanked it away from me. I was like gutted. And I remember sitting on the train on the way home and seeing him with the shirt as well. And I was thinking, that could have been me. That could have been me. It's different. Like I think I've got a couple of shirts anyway, but like it's different to actually get the shirt at the game. If you know what I mean, like the proper mud sweat. It was like a rainy day, shit, like weather. It could have been like the perfect kind of cap to that away day. But there you go. There's a little tell from me on one of my away days in the past. I think that's everything from today anyway, Kai. Thank you as always for joining me, and hopefully Saturday's game could be the one we're all hoping for, and we get that 3-1 win, like I said, or 2-1 victory, like you predicted, mate, and hopefully we kick on.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Just 3 points will do. Hopefully some exciting football. They'll be a tough team, Luton, but hopefully we can more than match them and show our quality and get 3 points.
Definitely. Thanks to Kai as always, and thanks to you guys for listening and watching. If you are watching on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. Check us out on Twitter at @MillPods. All the details in the description below anyway. So we're going to sod off, and hopefully we'll be back on Sunday with a story of 3 points for Millwall at the Den. Thanks for watching, guys. See you soon.